The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Las Vegas Raiders Sunday night at Allegiant Stadium. Pretty sure that's the name of the stadium. And I have a better feeling about this game than the previous two. Um, I picked the Steelers in the first two just because I'm biased and I'll pick them every week. But I didn't feel good about either one of them. And I feel better about this one. Um, I think the rush defense performs a little better, and I think the offense, particularly the rushing offense, performs a little better. Um, the thing to be afraid of is the Steelers have never played at the stadium before. And when the Raiders were the Oakland Raiders, I believe Mike Tomlin is 0-3 going to Oakland. So hopefully that turns around. But the Steelers have a pretty good track record on primetime football, especially in the Mike Tomlin era. So that's why I feel like this team's gonna be ready to play. And watching some other people, I don't watch film, but I watch other people watch film and kind of explain what's going on. And I think the issues of the rushing offense can be fixed. They're asking Mason Cole to do a lot of things that he's just not capable of, and the offensive line just looks out of whack. I think Matt Canada is mostly to blame for all this, chaos. But I think the offensive line is second, and then Kenny is third, and then Najee and Jalen Warren. Um, if I'm sharing my screen right now, this is rushing offensive stats. You can see the Steelers don't even have 100 yards on the ground through two games. That's just fucking terrible. 31 attempts, 96 yards, 3.1 average. Not good. That needs to get better. Granted, they got behind the game script in week one. They just threw the ball like 40 times. Week two, um, they just couldn't get it going. And the Browns and 49ers both have just stout, tough front sevens. So I think that gets better against the Raiders this week. Now, the Raiders have a lower yards per carry. They have a 2.6 to the Steelers 3.1. They've rushed 44 times for 116 yards. So they only have 20 more yards than the Steelers and have rushed the ball 13 more times. So go over to what is this one? Opponent rushing yards per game. The Steelers are dead last, 31st. Now Vegas is 27th. They allow 138.5 yards per game, and the Steelers they allow 193. That is just god awful. Now in both games, there's like a 60-yard run. So if you take away those big carries, then we're about the same. About the same with the Raiders. So that makes me feel good about that. Just limit the big explosive run plays, man. Well, let me click. And this is opponent yards per rush attempt. Again, Steelers are dead last. Vegas is 26th. They allow 4.9 yards on the ground per carry. Steelers average 5.6. And that's terrifying because Josh Jacob comes to town. But now Josh Jacobs only has like 1.7 yards per attempt or something of that nature. He has not been good. He had like -7 yards last game or some shit like that. But I just think this matchup bodes better for Pittsburgh than the first two. Uh, Vegas also played two pretty good defenses, and I believe it was Denver and then also the Bills. But I think the 49ers and the Browns defenses are better than those defenses. Um, so that's the key, man. It's the trenches. Who's going to win the trenches tonight? And another stat about the Raiders is they have not allowed a sack. Jimmy G has not been sacked one time. I think that changes in this game. I think at least two. The Steelers get at least two, but they have to play up. I think they're gonna have to stack the box, play up, um, and try to force Jimmy G to get the ball out even quicker than what he does, and kind of jump some of those routes. Hopefully, pick him off. Um, if the coverage on the back end is good enough, I hope JPJ plays more. Then maybe Jimmy G will hold the ball a little bit longer. The Raiders look healthier for this game on the ends, on the wide receivers. That is, Devontae past concussion protocol, Devontae Adams, And then Jacoby Myers, who had a huge week one, also passed concussion protocol. So both those guys are going to play. Um, I would love to see I'd love to see JPJ out there. I think he had a good game in week two. I like a lot of things that I've seen from him. And then Levi Wallace has just been god awful. God awful. So I'm a gambling degenerate, as you know. And I'm just gonna go through some lines that I like tonight. Just Steelers. It's only Steelers. And again, remember I'm biased, but it does make the game more interesting. And I do win like 51% of the time. And I lose like 49% of the time. So I win more than I lose. I was probably like 55-60 to 35-40. But first thing, man, I like the Steelers money line. I think they win tonight. I just they better win tonight, or else it's going to be a long week, and there's going to be a lot of people calling for Matt Canada's job, even if it's not his fault, man. Even if it's not his fault, but it probably will be, you know. Um, I like this stat or this line pretty much every game because I think George has scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 5 games or something like that. But George Pickens, anytime touchdown scorer. As long as Deontay's out, I'm going to hammer this line. I think they're going to try to get the ball to him. They had 10 targets last game. He took one to the house, 71 yards. And George is just a big play waiting to happen. We all know this. And this is another line that has not hit one time for me. My betting uh, record would be a lot better if I just stayed away from this line. But I'm going to ride this line until it hits because I just love the Steelers and I love Kenny. I believe in Kenny, even though he's been clapped ass. But Kenny over 1.5 touchdown passes. It's got to happen at some point, right? It has to. It's got to happen at some point. So I'm going to hammer it until it does. And I'm going to root for him every step of the way, man. Kenny over 200 passing yards. I ride this line every single time too. Well, this season. I didn't last season, but I think it's going to hit almost every time. That's alternative line. And then another 2 alternative lines that I'll probably parlay with Kenny's is Najee Harris over 50 rushing yards and Jalen Warren over 40 rushing yards. I really think they try to get it moving on the ground. And I think that after week 2's lackadaisical, lousy performance that followed week 1's lackadaisical, lousy performance, I think they changed some things in the rushing game and kind of go back to what was working for them a season ago. At the end of the season, the last what was it like a last 8 game stretch or whatever it was, where they were running the ball like 140 yards per game. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get Jalen Warren out there early and have like kind of Najee and Jalen switch roles because this team needs a boost, man. And there's 2 players that jump off on the screen whenever you're watching the Steelers. Only 2 on offense. It's George Pickens and it's Jalen Warren. Those are the only 2 guys that every game like they just flash on TV. And I have a lot of friends who watch Steelers who aren't Steelers fans who's like, wow, like I think Jalen Warren is better than Najee. And I'm was always defending Najee, but I'm at that point. I'm at my breaking point with this offense. I think what they ask each guy to do, if they ask Jalen to run Najee's role and Najee to do Jalen's role, I think they would be better for it. Um, these outside zones that they try to get Najee to the edge, like that's not his game, man. He lacks the burst to be able to get to the outside like that. So, and Jalen doesn't. So I think they need to have Jalen running those outside zones, and I think they should actually stop the outside zone because Mason Cole just can't. He's not athletic enough to pull and go upfield and get to the edge and block guys like that. So I like those 2 alternative rushing yard lines. Pickens, I don't know why his lines are always so low, but it's like 40 or 50 yards. And again, as long as Deontay's out, I'm hammering the over on these. Like 53.5 yards just seems like easy money, right? Now, just because it seems like easy money means I'll probably lose the bets because that's how they usually get you in Vegas. They know something. But man, 10 targets last game, only 4 catches. But I expect the catches to be more than 4 if you have 10 targets. So at least 7 catches if he has 10 targets. 7 catches for George Pickens. That could be 150, 200 yards, knowing him. Pat Frymouth, he only has like 2 targets this year, maybe 3. He has 2 catches, I believe, for not even 10 yards. So I think they try to get him going. I do think he's also hurt. I think he's playing through Bruce Sternum, maybe. I don't know what it is, but he got popped week 1, and he just hasn't looked the same. And even in the rushing game, he looks like he looks hurt. He looks like he's lacking uh, any desire to block in the run game. So keep an eye on that. But I do think they get him involved in the passing game, and I think they have to. They have to start throwing over the middle of the field. They have to start utilizing their good players, and Pat is one of the best players on this offense. And again, Jaylen Warren, over 15 and a half receiving yards. I think that just is so low. That is so low, right? He's going to get that in 1 catch. I just feel like he gets 1 catch for like 30 yards. It feels like he does that every game almost when they actually throw the ball to him and utilize him. But yeah, man, see what $1 will get on a parlay like that. I might throw $1 on all these to hit. Now I'm gonna obviously have a couple of different bets here. Like I'll probably just take the money line. I'll probably take George Pickens touchdown score with his yards. I'll probably take the rushing and passing, the alternate lines by themselves. But man, this is not financial advice, by the way. This people lose money all the time betting, so this is not financial advice. But yeah, things to watch. It's gonna be a battle of the trenches, man. Neither team has been good in the trenches. I do think the Steelers have the capacity and the ability to be much better. We saw it last year, and they improved the players that they have. So man, I just think we start winning more in the trenches, and this is an easier matchup than the first 2 games. So hopefully that's all it has been. They've just been playing tough teams, really good defenses. You got to think Joe Burrow put up 3 points against the Browns defense. And then, yeah, I know the Rams put up a lot of points against the 49ers last week, but that's a divisional game. That you can throw that out the window. That's like Steelers Ravens. It's like Steelers Bengals. Not that's you know Steelers Browns. Even though the Browns, it's not really a rivalry because it's been so one-sided. But yeah, hopefully we start to be optimistic about the offense after this week, and about the rushing defense too. That's the 2 things that they really need to get it together, man. The rushing defense and the offense as a whole, rushing offense, passing. It's just, man, I just don't trust Matt Canada. How could you? How could you? But yeah, I think tonight's game is like, I'm going to say 23-13 type of game. I think Steelers win by double digits. And that's all I got, man. So if you like this video, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Appreciate you guys. And I'll be back with a recap video either tomorrow or Tuesday, depending on how my work schedule and my family schedule goes. So again, thank you guys. Peace.